So, the spoilers are out for My Hero Academia Manga Chapter 421, and this is going to be a very interesting chapter based off what we're getting with the spoilers. So, let's just dive right into it, but first, right after this. Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Manga Man Drew, and I'm here to cover the spoilers and the leaks for My Hero Academia Manga Chapter 421 titled, We Are Here, in all caps and apparently in English this time. And with the title of the chapter, you can probably guess based off what's going to be in this chapter. We saw it towards the end of last chapter with the assembly of all of the heroes in one place to go against All for One. And from what we're seeing with the spoilers and the leaks, that is pretty much what we're going to be doing. We're going to be building up the entire army of heroes going up against All for One, and we're going to be getting some very interesting and unexpected characters that we probably would not have thought were going to be in this battle. So let's just dive into the spoilers and the leaks and see who's going to be showing up in this final battle. And to start off, the chapter begins with Kirishima, Shoji, Gora, Ashiro, Aoyama, Hagakure, Kaminari, Momo, Jiro, Mineta, and several other heroes arriving on the battlefield. They all state their reasons for continuing to fight and conclude with a "We are here." Mineta is the one that delivered the "We are here." By the way, it's a very cool double spread nonetheless, with a My Hero Academia and We Are Here both in written English. And I'm just going to leave with this part because this is something that I brought up, but I really enjoy how we're actually not getting like the main members of Class 1A appearing in this moment, but more of like the smaller, like not necessarily side characters, but more minor characters such as Koda, such as Shoji, which makes sense for these characters because these are the characters that weren't in like the bigger battlefield so that they can come to this location, in contrast to the other heroes such as, let's just say, Bakugo and Ochako, who are in bigger battles and sustained a lot more damage. So it's cool that we're going to be seeing these heroes playing a part, but I would also like to address the fact that it is in English is something that is going to most likely be responsible for this being a little bit more impactful and just tying into more or less that My Hero Academia is also inspired by, American comic books. So having it in English makes sense, especially for this big moment, especially if we were trying to equate this moment to be another big superhero accumulation or appearance in the essence of Endgame for the Avengers. But with that brief aside, let's go a little bit more into the spoilers as we have All for One saying that he should have been destroyed too, since he was a part of Shigaraki. However, when he heard the sound of Yoichi's vestige shattering, his world lost its color. He gave up on his ambitions, and then no attack from Deku could overcome the pain of his loss. All for One says that he now understands that it's tragedies that make people stronger. He then activates various quirks that transform his arms into something bizarre, resembling Chainsaw Man's Gun Devil. But Sero says that he disagrees with All for One's statement. Sero says that because his life isn't full of ups and downs like All for One's, he got stronger through regular daily training. Also said that tragedies made life very difficult for a certain friend of his. That's when Endeavor and Shoto come out of the portals. Sero says that these tragedies shouldn't exist. Endeavor and Shoto used Flash Fire Fist on All for One, and we see a flashback of the UA robots taking Rei. Natsu says that she has reached her limit after helping other civilians. He says that Endeavor staying there will only raise her temperature, so he'd better keep fighting somewhere else. Sero holds them both with his tape and says that he's been thinking about this topic ever since he learned that Shoto had defeated Dabi back in Kamino. And if you caught what I said earlier with the other characters such as Bakugo and Uraraka, you probably could have predicted that I was going to bring up that Shoto and Endeavor are both here, even though that they were in big bombastic battles. But I find it interesting, and I may dive into it a little bit more in the actual review proper, that we have Sero being the one to bring this up in relation to All for One, and how All for One in this moment seems to have become a different person or a different character due to the instances and the actual like loss of his younger brother, which is something a little bit fascinating and interesting that I want to talk about more, because it really shows All For One as being, relatively speaking, human. He isn't just a pure evil person, but that he does have aspects of himself that you can relate to as being a human. He goes through tragedies and believes that you should be able to go through these tragedies to become stronger, but that there is still some conflict, as we see with Sero. So it's cool in this chapter that we're going to get conflicting ideals between All For One and the heroes, and that it's not going to be coming from a hero that has had a lot of prominence in the actual series, which ties into the actual discussion that they are actually having in this moment. But now going into the next parts of the text spoilers, we have Mike then comes out of the portals and shouts for all of the heroes to move forward, saying that this is today's last big mission. All For One says that he's not feeling a hint of emotion, even though he's facing so many wounded heroes, and that makes him a little sad. 13 arrives riding on Hound Dog and pulls All For One with her black hole, while Gang Orca, Shishikura, and other heroes try to attack him. All For One then goes for an attack, and Bernard and some other heroes try to change its trajectory, but he's too fast and strong. Kendo says that they all need to keep attacking at the same time, and Deku tries to get to them, but he falls to the ground. Aizawa says that Aries' horn only rewound his body a few minutes to just before he lost his arms. He still has all the damage from the battle. Deku says that he no longer has the One For All or other users' quirks, but he still has some embers inside of him, just like All Might back in Kamino. Aizawa hands over the All Might shirt that the civilian gave him, and Deku puts it on. And now we're approaching more of the end of the spoilers, as we get a little bit more showing that a whole bunch of heroes are going to be participating in this battle, and whether or not they are successful in fighting All For One or not, we're going to be getting most likely a lot of cameos from a lot of characters throughout the entire series. So that is something that I'm going to be enjoying more, and hopefully being able to point out if there are any extra characters that we probably don't get explicitly in this chapter, or predicting on what characters may appear within the next few chapters as we see them all going against All For One. And it's also going to be very cool to see how all the heroes are going to be putting their all into this final battle, but also just the confirmation that potentially Deku has lost all of the quirks and even One For All itself, but he still has the embers, so even though he may not necessarily have a quirk afterwards, he'll still be able to fight in this moment at the very least. And with that, we go into the final part of the text spoilers, where Deku recognizes the shirt as being a men's non-no exclusive item with 5 different variations, and Aoyama offers his hand, telling them to run together. We need you, and you need us. Deku remembers when he reached his hand to Aoyama and gets emotional. The civilians are watching the battle from the shelter and are all amazed to see the heroes fighting together. Deku-san, shouts Eri. Big Bro Midoriya, shouts Kota. Deku, says Gran Torino. Do your best. The last page shows Deku running with the All Might shirt on. End of chapter. And yeah, this is pretty much what the chapter is going to be. It seems as if this chapter is going to be a setup chapter for the battles against All For One, but also to pretty much tie up the loose ends for how the civilians are going to be viewing the heroes in this moment, and that potentially this is going to be the unifying moment where all of the people and all the civilians support the battle of not just one pillar, but all of the pillars, which are the heroes that are going to make up the new hero society most likely. But yeah, I think the fact that there isn't a lot of, should I say, like substance necessarily in this chapter makes it a little bit more interesting, but I can dive a little bit more into my thoughts when the actual chapter proper comes out. But yeah, that's all I have to say for the spoilers for right now. So let me ask you this. What did you think of the spoilers? Do you like them? Do you dislike them? And what do you think about All For One fighting against all of the heroes and potentially Deku losing all of his quirks? Leave your thoughts down below. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content like this. Do all that cool jazz, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you in my next video. Goodbye.